Greetings and welcome to my channel, The Healthy Voice. Today I am answering your questions. These are questions that were asked in the comment section of my previous videos. And so if you have a question about your voice that you would like me to answer, please drop it in the comment section below. I'm keeping a list running and I have more videos to come answering other questions. So today's question comes from Smokey Wick. And the question is, I have a rich background in traditional church music, but I don't go to church now. I often miss singing the old songs. It feels like such a waste, and I don't want it to be. I've been looking forward to answering this question, and I want to do it with a delicate sensitivity to listeners who still go to church, who do go to church, and who love singing church music. I myself was a church musician for about 6 years, a church singer specifically. I even had a job. I was even paid to perform in churches for a couple of years. And it was a big part of my life for a long time. And since I started The Healthy Voice, I have been able to have a few conversations with other people who were once church singers and who no longer are. And what I have learned is that Smokey Wick is not alone. This is a very painful process to go through. And the reasons for choosing not to go to church anymore or not to be a church singer are very personal. And I don't believe that anybody has a right to judge anyone in this kind of a situation. Some people just outgrow what was once their spiritual home, and they have to move on. I can speak from experience that when I made a decision to stop singing in churches, it was very painful for me. There's something about church music and spiritual music in general that it is so perfectly composed to make you feel things that are hard to describe. Church music is so perfectly written. It is meant to give you a spiritual experience. The same is true in my experience with chants in the yoga world. Whenever I do kirtans and I sing mantras in Sanskrit, I feel something very similar. It's not exactly the same thing because the music theory is very different and the words and the messaging are also very different. So with all of that said, here's what I want to say to Smokey Wick and anybody else who has been through this experience. And I'm really sharing this from a personal place. And so most of my answers come from my experience as a teacher, helping many students with the same kinds of technical problems. And this is really more of a personal, spiritual problem. And here's what I can tell you. Whatever happened that caused you to leave your former spiritual community is one thing. What you felt singing that music is another. That music meant something to you because it's powerful music. There's a reason why people have these very spiritual experiences when they're in church, because they hear these singers and these musicians making perfectly composed music. One thing you have to remember is that Western music history doesn't even really begin until the church has completely taken over Europe. So before Europe became a system of monarchies that were supported by the Vatican, before that happened, music was something that was an oral tradition. There was no written music until the dawn of the church age in Europe. Before that, people learned music just by hearing other people sing, and they sort of picked it up. There was no recording of music. And the only reason why music notation was invented was for the monks and the nuns in these convents and these monasteries to be able to remember their prayers, their chants. And so that's actually how the recording of music came about. And after that, if you want to do a deep dive into this history, it's actually quite fascinating. I learned about this in my music appreciation classes these are standard lessons that are taught in music programs all over the world, where Western music doesn't really officially begin, at least not in a recorded sense, until the church has become in charge of daily life in Europe. And so all of the composers from the early days of classical music wrote church music. And so what this did was this created a very sophisticated way of making music with the intention of making you feel something on a spiritual level. It's a very sophisticated form of composing. And in my opinion, this is why you can listen to a piece of classical music that Beethoven wrote or that Bach wrote hundreds of years ago and weep, because these composers were so good at what they did. They knew the science of giving you a specific emotional response in your body just by the sounds. And if you hear people singing, that's the most personal sound that you can hear, because it's equivalent to your own voice. And so you have a very real response when you hear people singing music that is scientifically designed to make you feel something on a spiritual level. And so church music is quite sophisticated. Now, for people who go through a certain kind of spiritual crisis and have to leave their spiritual communities, this is very difficult. And a lot of times they will end up turning their back on the music that once meant so much to them. I actually want to encourage you to not turn your back on it. And I understand if you have to take a moment where you don't listen to it, because perhaps it brings up feelings. It brings up emotional moments that are painful for you to relive. And that's true for any genre of music. It's not necessarily just church music. So if there was a singer that you loved when you were in fifth grade, and fifth grade was the year you had to switch schools all of a sudden, and you went from being a popular kid to being the kid everyone picked on. Every time you hear that popular song from that singer of that year, it's going to bring you back to these painful experiences. And so it's not just church music that can make you feel this way. Now, you may no longer believe in the messages of the church songs, but that music did something for you. And in my opinion, from my personal experience, it's a gift to be able to listen to that music that gave you something deep, emotional, and spiritual without being bothered by the message that you no longer agree with. Personally, for me, I left my religious home a long, long time ago, a religious home that I felt very comfortable in and I felt very connected to. And singing in those churches, in those atmospheres, were so important to me and really were the beginning of my whole life as a singer. And so I would never look back on those times with regret. I would never feel any kind of shame or embarrassment or anything negative about those moments, even though I don't agree anymore with some of the messages that I was singing about or promoting. The music was solid. It was beautiful. It gave me a spiritual experience. It gave the people in the room a spiritual experience. This music was beautiful. And just because I don't believe in the doctrine anymore doesn't mean that I can't enjoy the music. I listen to gospel sometimes. I am not a Southern Baptist. I never have been a Southern Baptist. I have never been a member of any evangelical type of Christian church. But I grew up around many people who believed in these belief systems. And so I was around gospel music a lot. Now I'm going to tell you one little personal story. When I was growing up, because I wasn't a part of this church, this religion that actually was quite dominant where I lived, I was often told by kids that I was going to go to hell. And this was a very painful experience for me. And I can remember sometimes hearing gospel music and getting very angry because I associated it with these kids who were mean to me. And then thankfully, I got older. I sang a lot of gospel in my music program. And so I started to form a very different relationship with this music. And now I love gospel music. I don't care if I belong to the religion that inspires it or not. To me, the music that is composed that makes up gospel music, it is a scientifically sound formula for making you feel something. The words are beautiful and inspiring, and it's okay if I don't necessarily believe the way the composers believe when they write these songs. I feel like as a human being, I resonate with the harmonies, with the music theory, because this style of music has tapped into something very special in the human psyche, and I want to learn from it. This is also the inspiration to soul music, to R&B music, Motown. So music that we all love and feel something. It's just that the words are not necessarily about God or Jesus or anything related to Christianity. They are songs written about love and friendship and what matters in life. But the music theory is the same, because that music, it does something to us. It's amazing. And so if you are in a situation where you have had to leave your religious home, your religious community, your spiritual community, whatever you want to call it, and it's been a very painful experience for you, and it's hard for you to hear that music, or it's hard for you to sing that music, I encourage you to not give up forever. If you have to take a break, so be it. But I don't want you to feel bad or confused or uncomfortable when you hear that music. I don't like it when people dismiss religious music because it disagrees with their own personal beliefs. I think we can appreciate each other's traditions and take what works and just ignore the rest. You don't have to believe in somebody's doctrine to appreciate the beauty that they have been able to create. And that's the way I see church music, whether it's a mass that was written by Mozart, or it's a gospel song that was arranged by Robert Shaw for his amazing choir. There's something beautiful in this music, and you don't have to let it go completely. I hope this helped you. It's quite a delicate question to answer, and I realize that some people may have braced themselves listening to me answer it, and I hope I did okay, and I hope that I didn't offend anybody, because it's the last thing I want to do. I feel very strongly that everybody is on their own personal journey when it comes to spirituality. Music does play a role in that. A lot of people who come to me who want to learn how to sing have some kind of a spiritual tradition that they're very serious about, and I respect that very much. I respect spiritual diversity. I also respect that some people go through a path where they have to walk away from the journey that they've been on and try a different one. I honor all of those paths, and along the way there's always going to be music. And so we do have to try to figure out what to do when things don't work out. And I say keep the music. Don't turn your back on the music. The music is not the problem. All right, I hope that this helped you. If you are interested in making your voice more comfortable, more relaxed, and easier to be heard, and if you're also trying to become just more authentic in your own personal expression, and if you're also trying to heal things that have happened to you, then my voice liberation method is very helpful. I'll put the link in the description below, and I hope you'll check it out. Thanks so much for watching this video and for being here. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, keep going, because the world needs your unique voice. I'll see you in the next one.